How you doing, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Wilde's Mailbox here at ESPNMilwaukee.com and ESPNMadison.com. Today's email comes from Kai Moss, who read Peter King's Monday morning quarterback column this morning on SI.com and notices that Aaron Rodgers is not mentioned in the discussion for MVP, and that Peter King, who is a voter for all these awards, by the way, one of 50 that the Associated Press uses, that Charles Woodson is not his pick for Defensive Player of the Year. He picks Darrelle Revis, the cornerback from the New York Jets. And her question is, to wrap this all up, what more do you think people want to see from Rodgers before they can consider him an MVP candidate? And obviously she's surprised by the Woodson thing. Let's start with Woodson. And again, I don't want to sound like a homer on this, but when you look at the varied things that he does, blitzing the quarterback, forcing fumbles, intercepting passes, matching up on the opponent's best receiver, whether it's a tight end or a wide receiver, I don't have a vote, and I know I've seen more of Charles Woodson, obviously, in 15 games than Darrelle Revis, but as vital as it is to have a lockdown corner, and I don't want to make it seem like what Darrelle Revis has done this season has not been impressive, because it has. I just think the Defensive Player of the Year, if it's going to be a corner who wins it, and there haven't been many who have done that, I think he's got to do a lot more. He's got to do what Rod Woodson did when he won the Defensive Player of the Year under Dom Capers in Pittsburgh, and I think that's what Woodson does. I think he's more of a threat than just locking up an opposing receiver, and I think that's what's interesting. Is I talked to Dom Capers about this, and he said, what, one team can just come in and say, look, we're going to trade 1 for 1, and we'll just, if Woodson's just matching up with their receiver, they'll just go to their other receivers, and theoretically with Jarrett Bush and Josh Bell and those type of guys who are potentially in the nickel and dime, that could really not work out very well for the Packers. As for Rodgers, I think we can all agree that he is not the NFL MVP as we look at what Drew Brees has done, what Peyton Manning has done. I would personally vote for Manning if I had a vote, and what Brett Favre has done. But I think Aaron Rodgers deserves to be in the conversation. He's almost he's almost the forgotten guy, despite everything he went through as he followed Brett Favre. But he's the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons in his first 2 years as a starter. He's got 29 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. He has taken a beating, a league-high 50 sacks. But I think he deserves to be in the discussion. I don't think he's ready to win it yet. And to answer Kai's question about what they need to see more from Rodgers at this point, he's quarterbacking a 10-5 team. If he was quarterbacking a 14-1 team, I think maybe the discussion would be very different. But he has shown that he can lead them to a comeback in the fourth quarter. He's shown that he can lead his team to the playoffs after they went 6-10 last year and lost a lot of close games in the fourth quarter. So I think in the maturation process and in the progress of Aaron Rodgers as an elite quarterback, he has taken the latest necessary steps, and maybe we can worry about talking about him as an MVP candidate next year. This year, let's talk about him making the Pro Bowl, which will be announced tomorrow, and I will be very surprised if he's not one of the 3 quarterbacks on that roster. So, Kai, thanks for your question. Remember, you can ask a question like Kai did either via email at jwilde@espnmilwaukee.com or jwilde@espnmadison.com. I get them both. Or via Twitter. You can always do it that way, too, if you can get your question in 140 characters. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.